There are around 7,000 languages spoken in the world. Of these 7,000 languages, there are many that are endangered of going extinct. An extinct language is the one that does not have any native speakers left. UNESCO has provided a list of such endangered languages. One such list is published by The Guardian. It's of 2011, so it's at least a decade old, and it has a listing of all these languages that are considered endangered. We have all the languages, their number of speakers, and the different degree of endangerment. If we scroll down, it's a very long list. At the top, we have languages that have speakers in hundreds of thousands. Then it goes down to thousands and hundreds, and at the bottom we have all these languages that have gone extinct and that does not have any native speakers left. It's a very long list. It's a list of more than 2,500 languages, which means that more than 1/3 of the languages have either gone extinct or are endangered of going extinct. At the bottom, we have the link for the spreadsheet where we have other features of these languages as well. However, the point is pretty much clear that these languages are very much endangered. Here is another report published by the Language Conservancy Organization, and it goes on to say that of the 7,000 languages that we have, 2,900 languages, that is 41% of the total languages, are endangered. In fact, it goes on to say that we are losing a language every 40 days, which means that we are losing 9 languages every year. The year is not mentioned with this report. However, if we go to its source code, it was last modified in 2020. So still a couple of years old, but that's the state of situation at the moment that we have. Now, if we look for a specific language, let's say Burushaski, it has 87,000 speakers and the language is labeled as vulnerable. It just says the number of speakers, so I believe these are native speakers. However, nothing can be said for sure. If we look into the categories, it's regarded as a vulnerable language, which means most children speak the language, but it may be restricted to certain domains, for example, home. So I assume it's kind of a situation where the language is being inherited. However, it's not the working language or the language of education. So therefore, it may be spoken at home only with family members, which pretty much restricts its usage. There are 2 problems associated with it. First, the language is not properly taught. And secondly, there are other languages that are being used for work and studies. So it poses the kind of problem that many multilingual people face, which is they may mix up the words of different languages that they can speak and may use them interchangeably. And therefore, they may not preserve the actual true nature of the language. Monolingual speakers who have not come in contact with any other language are basically the true preservers of any language. I particularly got interested in this topic because of a language documentation workshop that I attended a month back. It used Mankyali and Burushaski as specific examples. Later on, I searched for Mankyali, which is a language spoken in the northern areas of Pakistan, and I couldn't find anything on it in terms of a dataset. Next, I searched for Burushaski. I couldn't find any dataset on Burushaski in its actual script. However, I just found this one dataset that has Burushaski language in Roman, that is using English letters. So this is the dataset that I'm talking about. That's the only dataset that I came across. And if you go to its content, it has just 1 sentence per document, and the sentences are also fairly short. I'm not a native speaker of Burushaski, so although I can read it out, but I would struggle and may mispronounce the words. If we scroll down, these are fairly short sentences, and we have a total of 414 sentences or documents. So it's quite a small data set. In the next video, we are going to use this dataset and perform some basic analytics on this dataset. It's going to give us a feel of the language and its different structures of words. We may not be building any tool for the language, however, that is the only thing that is going to promote the use of a language. All these endangered languages are more often spoken in developing countries and they are not being used as working language or the language of education, as I said earlier. So therefore there are limited tools of these languages and they have limited digital representation. On the other hand, the more resourceful languages like English, Chinese, Arabic, Spanish have lots of tools and many resources, which makes producing and consuming more content in these languages a lot easier. So if we want to save these languages, we need to build more tools that would help its native speakers to produce more content in these languages and would also assist others to consume that content. Some basic tools may consist of maybe grammar checker, spell checker, text generator, or anything that would basically assist people who would want to work in these languages. What we are going to do in the next video would not be building any tool, but we would just go through the language, perform some analytics, and just get a feel of the language. So stay tuned.